If you spend enough time on the internet, you'll eventually hear a familiar story about how the Bible was made. A secret council of powerful men locked themselves in a dim room and threw out the forbidden Gospels to control the masses. The historical reality is different. Bible formation involved a slow, decentralized process of community selection occurring over centuries. Today, modern readers tend to react to these excluded writings with two extremes. Some panic, treating anything outside the canon as a spiritual danger. Others romanticize them as a suppressed truth stolen by the church. We see their true nature when we look past these tropes. These texts functioned as instruments of survival in an ancient world defined by deep uncertainty. Before the Bible existed as a single book, the spiritual landscape of Second Temple Judaism resembled a sprawling delta of competing scrolls, visions, and arguments. If there was no grand conspiracy, we have to look at what actually shaped this ancient library. Why did early Christians continue to preserve these strange, non-canonical voices? When you look at the physical remains, you see that these excluded books were literary attempts to solve the psychological terrors and systemic traumas of the ancient mind. Understanding why certain books were left out requires looking at the specific anxieties they were trying to heal. In Genesis, there is a confusing 3-verse fragment about the sons of God taking human wives. For early readers, that passing mention left massive questions completely unanswered. The Book of Enoch pulls on that thread, unfolding the biblical footnote into a massive myth about a group of rebellious angels known as the Watchers. In the story, these Watchers descend to Earth and teach humanity forbidden arts. They introduce specialized technology, metalworking for weapons and cosmetics, which Enoch claims accelerated human corruption. This narrative solved the ancient problem of systemic evil. By framing violence as a cosmic contamination, it moved the origin of suffering beyond simple human failure. Ancient writers reached for the supernatural because individual human sin felt too small to explain the devastating violence of the great empires. Those anxieties reached into the human body and the very structure of ancient society. Communities were fighting to determine who possessed the authority to speak for God. The Gospel of Mary depicts Mary Magdalene claiming to receive private revelation from Jesus, a claim that the disciple Peter immediately and fiercely contests. In the Acts of Paul and Thecla, a female convert defies the social order by rejecting marriage and claiming her own spiritual authority. These texts reveal the fierce, ongoing battle over gender, authority, and who controlled the sacred memory of Jesus during the movement's earliest years. Then there was the anxiety of unpunished injustice. Faith faces a crisis when corrupt empires prosper and the righteous are crushed. The apocalypses of Peter and Paul solved this by mapping out vivid, highly organized, and terrifying scenes of hell. These texts made invisible moral consequences visible, creating a hidden courtroom where earthly rulers would finally face justice. These hellscapes provided psychological comfort to the oppressed by guaranteeing that an unseen record of their suffering existed. So how did these texts fall out of the record? They faded through a slow decline in community use over generations. Some writings were drafted centuries too late to be considered apostolic. Others pushed theological boundaries too far for the emerging Orthodox consensus. Geography also played a role. Millions of believers in the Ethiopian Orthodox tradition never left Enoch or Jubilees out. They kept them as canonized scripture. The boundary of the Bible formed as a localized human arrangement, shaped by geography and climate as much as theology. This wider library reveals the complexity of the early centuries, moving past the idea of one simple original Christianity. The Christian faith was argued into shape under enormous historical pressure and crisis. Acknowledging that the canon is a human boundary makes the faith embodied, historically honest, and tethered to the real world. These lost books prove that ancient searchers struggled with the exact same anxieties about evil, justice, and truth that we do. Today, the margins of history function as a mirror.
Thank you for watching. If something in this resonated with you, then you're already closer than you think. If you're ready to go deeper, there's a link below to my book, The Bible That Wasn't, Lost scriptures, forgotten gospels, and the faith that almost was. This isn't theory, it's a framework you can actually use. Tap the link below and step into it.